Carolina Hurricanes can advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 2006 with a win tonight in Game 5. They have won 3 consecutive games, including Game 4 of this series, a 4-0 shutout at the Bell Center. Ever since losing 6-2 in Game 1, they have improved to 11-1 this postseason with those 3 consecutive victories. They've been getting stronger each game, outscoring the Habs 10-4, outshooting them 109-43 in the 3 wins. Montreal, on the other hand, is 2-0 when facing elimination this postseason, winning Game 7s on the road against the Tampa Bay Lightning and Buffalo Sabres, both in 1-goal games, each time after losing Game 6 at home. The Habs are 7-3 on the road this postseason, including their Game 1 victory at Lenovo Center. Hello everyone, I am Alec Nava, and I come to you with somber news. Entering this Game 5, Claude Lemieux has sadly took his own life. He was found by one of his sons on the property of a furniture store that he owned in Lake Park, Florida. His final public appearance was Game 3 of this Eastern Conference Finals, where he was the torchbearer for the Montreal Canadiens at Bell Center. He was often a guest on the Sports Network's Off the Record with Michael Landsberg, sharing insights on his playing days in the NHL when he was one of the best role players at this time and one of the best playoff performers at his time. He sparked the rivalry between the Colorado Avalanche and the Detroit Red Wings, and he elevated his game throughout the postseason time and time again, including in the Stanley Cup run in 1986 with the Montreal Canadiens when he won by scoring 10 goals and 16 points in technically his first season in the NHL. He's a 4-time Stanley Cup champion, having also won once with the New Jersey Devils in 1995, in 1996 with the Colorado Avalanche, and again in 2000 with the New Jersey Devils. He's the older brother of former NHL forward Jocelyn Lemieux, and is survived by 4 children between 2 marriages, 3 sons and a daughter, including former NHLer Brendan Lemieux. He and Darren McCarty were made famous for fighting with one another in one of the Avalanche Red Wings brawls. However, they worked together for public events, raising money for charity off the ice. It was a mix of skill and abrasiveness, not afraid to cross the line in the name of competition. Winning the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP for his role in helping the Devils win their first Stanley Cup in 1995. A year later, he was suspended for 2 games for hitting behind on Chris Draper on the way to them hoisting the Stanley Cup for the first time in their first season since moving from his native Quebec. Joe Sakic, the president of hockey operations and former teammate of Lemieux's with the Avalanche, said that Lemieux was a fierce competitor and a champion in every way. His impact, bringing the first ever Stanley Cup to the Devils, is going to be remembered in New Jersey, and also in his impact in bringing the first ever Stanley Cup to Colorado, be remembered in Avalanche history. He's become an agent in the years since his playing career ended, representing Frederik Andersen of the Carolina Hurricanes, Timo Meier of the New Jersey Devils, Mort Seider of the Detroit Red Wings, and Hampus Lindholm with the Boston Bruins, among more than a dozen clients in the NHL. At a gathering in December to celebrate the 30-year anniversary of Colorado's 1996 Stanley Cup championship, Lemieux said, "What is happening, when you're in the middle of it, you don't quite appreciate it as much as you should." Late former teammate Chris Simon was represented during the on-ice ceremony by his children and by Lemieux. As we join here, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember Claude Lemieux and his impact on and off the ice. Thank you. As we go over to this somber topic, onto the action on the ice, it is hard to transition from it, but we did this before in the wake of last game when I came back from Italy, and I did it the remembrance of Kyle Busch, but we're going on with business as usual. Rod Brindamore was the captain of the 2006 Hurricanes team that won the Stanley Cup, and he understands what reaching the finals means to the franchise. He doesn't think the team will be distracted from the task at hand. And he has a chance to be the first in the NHL's expansion era to reach the finals with the same franchise as the team's captain and head coach. Carolina has history on its side too. Of the 72 previous teams down 3 games to 1 in the conference finals or Stanley Cup semifinal series, only 1 came back to win. The aforementioned New Jersey Devils in 2000, which Claude Lemieux was a part of, defeating the Philadelphia Flyers, winning games 5 and 7 at what used to be the Wachovia Center. Game 7 of that series was the last of Eric Lindros's Flyers career, as he was concussed on a heavy hit from Scott Stevens. Montreal's performances have gotten progressively worse as the series went on. Ever since the 6-2 victory, they have had 2 quote-unquote close games that ended in overtime losses, with the latter going to overtime thanks to the heroics of Jakub Dobeš, and then experienced a first period similar to the one they enjoyed to open the series, except it was the Hurricanes breaking the bank open instead of the Canadiens, on the way for the second largest margin of defeat in the 18 playoff games they played this postseason. The only thing that went right for them in Game 4 was that they had one of the best 20-minute performances of the series in the second period, with 10 shots. However, they were held to just 2 shots in the third period of the same game. Carolina finished the game out shooting them in the entire third period over the Canadiens' total shots on goal in Game 4. Habs fans were getting frustrated in that match, to the point where they were chanting, "Shoot the puck," during the third period, when they didn't register a shot on goal until there was 2:53 left in the frame. After having 13 shots in Game 3, 12 in Game 2, Montreal had a 17.4% share of expected goals, which was the lowest of the 100 games they played this season, regular season, and postseason. Breaking out their own zone more efficiently will be the essential first step for the Habs to get more opportunities to shoot and score. Yet they've also passed up on some chances to shoot in this series. Replicating what they did in the second period of Game 4 will be important, as much as to try to score as to get a break from constantly rotating through Carolina's coverage in the defensive zone. Montreal has been unprepared or unwilling to match the intensity of the Hurricanes on the opening puck drop. Too often in the last 2 series, they were playing uphill against a team that can settle in defensively with a lead, and that has probably worn everyone out more than just the number of games played. There's nothing to lose at this point for the Habs. If they do the same thing they've done the last 3 games, their season will be over. Jakub Dobeš says he treats every game like a Game 7, which is why he's been engaged in every match so far, and that's the mentality the team needs to have. Less hesitation in getting to loose pucks and heading up ice with them, crisper plays in their own zone to limit Carolina's zone time, and most importantly, taking shots at every opportunity they can. For Carolina, only a handful of teams have started a postseason 11-1. After allowing a league-low 23.9 shots per game in the regular season, the Canes have bested that and are allowing just 22.2 shots per game in the playoffs. Once again, a league low. After losing the first game, which can be understandably placed on rust after an 11-day layoff, they've dominated the ice to the tune of outscoring the Habs 10-4, outshooting them 108-43, and out-hitting them 113-77. As Luke Kuechly sounds the siren at the Lenovo Center. Carolina Panthers all-time great, essential part of their linebacker core from the Super Bowl 50 team, even though they fell short of the goal of winning the big prize in the NFL. He was a big part of that Panthers defense for 8 seasons. All those factors I listed before I shout out Kuechly, they've taken a toll on Montreal. What Carolina has done is a total team effort, one that's taken all 18 skaters and the man in net to play like this, though their individual players playing well. Freddie Anderson is among the top. He has the best stats of any goalie in the postseason with 11-1 record, a GAA of 144, and a save percentage of .928, and has 3 shutouts. Next is Keandre Miller, who is playing better than the front office dreamed of when they traded Scott Morrow, a first-round pick, and an early-round pick to get him. He leads all Canes D-men with 8 points as a team-leading plus 12 rating. He also leads the defense with 26 hits among Carolina players. 7th on the team. It has 9 takeaways, which is a team high. And he's doing that on a team-leading 24:05 average time on ice. Carolina was envisioning someone to back up Jacob Slavin on the defense pairings, and the Hurricanes got more than that with Keandre Miller, anchoring the pairing of him and Sean Walker. The Canes have scored first in each of the first 4 games of the series, and they have not trailed in each of the past 3 games. Comeback victories against the Hurricanes are much more difficult to come by in comparison to the Buffalo Sabres or the Tampa Bay Lightning if you're a Montreal Canadiens, as Montreal is going up against a suffocating forecheck combined with stingy defense in front of Anderson, who has allowed more than 2 goals only once in the 12 playoff games played so far this postseason, which was game 1 of this series. Carolina's forecheck has trapped Montreal in the defensive zone for extended shifts and limited their offensive zone time. The Canes are wanting this to continue in Game 5. No lineup changes here for either side. Montreal is rolling with the same lineups. Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Jerry Slafkovsky, Alex Newhook, Jake Evans, Ivan Demidov, Alex Texier, Philip Deneau, Josh Anderson, Zach Bolduc, Joe Veleno, Kirby Dach for the forward core. On defense, Mike Matheson, Noah Dobson, Jaden Struble, Lane Hudson, Caden Goulet, Alex Carrier. Jakub Dobish is the starter in net. Jacob Fowler is the backup. And just like Montreal, no lineup changes for the Hurricanes. Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, Jackson Blake, Nikolai Ehlers, Jordan Stahl, Jordan Martinook, William Carrier, Mark Jankowski, Eric Robinson. That's the forward lines. Defense pairings, Jacob Slavin, Jalen Chatfield, the aforementioned Miller and Walker, Shane Gostisbehere, and Alexander Nikishin. Anderson is the starter in net. Brandon Bussey is the backup. The Canadiens, head coached by Marty St. Louis, and the Hurricanes coached by Rod Brind'Amour, looking to advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 2006 when he was the team captain. And some familiar faces as part of this run for the Hurricanes, in which Brind'Amour is familiar with on his coaching staff, including Jeff Daniels and Tim Gleason as the assistants, Paul Schoenfelder, the goaltending coach, Chris Huffine, the video coach. Marty St. Louis assistants include Trevor Litkowski, Stefan Robida as the primary assistant coaches, Marco Marciano as the goaltending coach, Daniel Harvey as the head video coach, and Rick Corno is the assistant video coach. Roger Grillo is the coach consultant. So the series has started out with a 6-2 victory for the Canadiens, which you can pinpoint on the Hurricanes' end if you're a fan of the Canes, to rust, the 11-day layoff that took place. This is the first series between a team that swept their first 2 series against a team that won in 7 games their first 2 series ever in Stanley Cup playoff history. Carolina won the next 3 games, 3-2 in overtime, 3-2 in overtime, and 4-0. Jerry Slafkovsky scored twice in Game 1 as part of his 3-point night. Josh Anderson struck twice for Montreal in Game 2, but that was matched by Nikolai Ehlers striking twice in that same game, including the overtime winner 3.5 minutes in. Svechnikov scored his first goal of this series in overtime of Game 3, in which the Canadiens were limited just 1 shot in that entire overtime period, and 13 overall in that game, one that spanned 14 minutes deep into the extra session. That goal stood after video review, which the referees found Sebastian Aho to have not interfered with Jakub Dobish and have ruled it incidental contact. Last game was Aho's first goal of this series and Carolina's first power play goal of this entire series, just the second one from either team. 4 different goal scorers in that game, including 3 goals scored in a 2-minute 47-second span. Aho, Jordan Staal, and Logan Stankoven. Our referees for tonight's game are Garrett Rank and Johnny Bear. The standby ref is Kelly Sutherland. The linesmen are Scott Sherry and Jesse Marquis. The standby linesman is Matt McPherson. If Carolina wins tonight, they advance to face the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final. This would be the first matchup between these two teams. The Hurricanes entered into the fray in 1997 when they relocated from Hartford when they were the Whalers. The Golden Knights began NHL operations in the 2018 season where they made the Stanley Cup Final in their first ever year in the NHL. Vegas took out the Utah Mammoth and Anaheim Ducks in 6 games each before sweeping the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche. Dobich is 2-0 in elimination games, and both wins came on the road. Has a GAA of .253, save percentage of .912. He has faced 535 shots in this entire postseason, the most of any goaltender among those that are left standing. Freddie Anderson has 3 shutouts in this postseason, a franchise record in a single run. A 144 GAA and a 928 save percentage. You can argue about the quality of competition, but you only play who is on your schedule under this format. Montreal is making a change on who they're bringing out to start this game. They're starting with the new hook line. Carolina matches by sending out the Stankoven line, and here we go! Carolina wins, they advance, and immediately it's a 2-on-1! Blake shoots it up high! Carolina comes out firing just 6 seconds into the game. And it was Jackson Blake. Very fittingly, it was the second line of Hall, Stankoven, and Blake as Stankoven runs over Mike Matheson. From the near corner, Noah Dobson pressured deep by Taylor Hall. This gets poked towards the right point, and Sean Walker firing this is caught by Dobich. The 536th shot that he has faced. Yes, you heard that right. It took Carolina all of 6 seconds to register the first shot attempt of this game as Blake tried to go short side on Dobich. Unfortunately, that was lifted up high and missed the net entirely. Right over the glove of Dobich. This face-off to Dobich's left. This time it is the Sebastian Aho line. Aho's going to get tossed out. Aho scored the opening goal. Jarvis loses face-off as grabbed by Lane Hudson. He is matched up with Alex Carrier as Jarvis keeps it. In the zone for Svechnikov. Left circle. Fine for Aho. Off the right pad. The rebound swept wide. On this loose puck, it's picked up by Dobich. No rebound for Seth Jarvis. And on the Twitch stream, comment said, have a great stream, Alec. Go Canes from Big Slimy Grape. Oh, if the Hurricanes are my second team, let's go Hurricanes. I'm trying to be as neutral as possible, but I want to get that out there for here. Off the faceoff, this is blasted wide by Slavin. Kept in by Jalen Chatfield as the Ehlers lines out there, or should I say the Air Jordan line. Jordan Staal, Jordan Martinook, and the fly guy, Nikolai Ehlers. Moved up the far side, was sent it down by Alex Carrier. Jordan Martinook picked it apart. Here's Ehlers. Right off of Dobich and off the post. It went out of play. And Carolina is picking up from where they left off in Game 4 when they outshot Montreal 19-2 in that period. Remember, Carolina had 19 shots in that third period. Montreal had 18 shots in the entire game. Dobich does a good job sticking with this puck, not allowing the early goal from Carolina. Aho already has 2 shots in this game. He loses that face-off. Montreal is coming in with the first opportunity here for them. Josh Anderson stuffed by Miller, kept alive by Philip Deneau. Miller's giving him no room. This comes back towards the right point, held in by Lane Hudson. Deneau tied up at the near corner. Puck is wide away. Comes to Anderson, who is tied up by Svechnikov. Back out toward the left point. Caden Goulet throws one towards the net. Shut down by Freddie Anderson, and Miller is tied up by Alex Texier. In front, and Anderson's tied up too. Josh Anderson it is. He's the only Montreal for of a goal in the last 3 games. The 2 goals scored in Game 3 were from defensemen Mike Matheson and Lane Hudson. Penalties coming up against the Hurricanes as Nick Suzuki is picking this one up. The top line's out there for Montreal for the first time. Suzuki waits. He'll feed for Dobson. Fed towards the left. And Montreal has to wait and regroup because that was a botched zone entry pass. Caulfield delivers it back. And here's Lane Hudson delivering this back over to Dobson. All offense out here for Montreal. The six-man unit of Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Demidov, Hudson, and Dobson out there on the ice at the same time. 6-on-5 until Carolina touches up or a goal is scored. And Slavin will touch up. We'll get the call. This is going to go against Andrei Svechnikov from what we're seeing. Lane Hudson spun out Andrei Svechnikov and does a good job at evading him. Svechnikov was placed in a bad position as this is going to be 2 minutes for tripping on Svechnikov. Hudson puts him on a spin cycle that all Svechnikov could do is just stare as he quips his skates. Both start on this face-off as Suzuki is quipped. He's going to have to sub out. Slafkovsky steps in. Dobson's not on the ice for his sequence as he's part of the second power play unit. Tie up off the face-off. Martinook just gets it out. Outmuscles Yuri Slafkovsky, and Dobich will start up with the puck. Lane Hudson, who took responsibility for the game free loss, looking for a bounce back as Caulfield drops it all the way for Nick Suzuki, who enters up with speed. Offside as Demidov was a step ahead. Just 19 seconds into the man advantage already, Carolina is shutting out the Canadiens. Nick Suzuki was tossed out this faceoff. On the previous one, as he allowed for Yuri Slafkovsky to step in. Jordan Stahl wins this one, and Chatfield takes his time to clear this down. It lands onto Dobich's breadbasket, and it will be started up by Hudson once more. Carolina is 21 for 22 on the penalty kill at home this postseason. They're looking for that to continue. Anderson plays this one out dangerously onto the far corner. Montreal keeps this one alive, but they're forced all the way to the outside. Demidov to the near corner. It is Suzuki all the way back for Demidov. Demidov's long shot was blocked. Past Anderson as it went wide of him. Caulfield picks it up left circle. He is forced all the way to the outside looking for a lane. Delivers it over the left circle for Slafkovsky. Suzuki's tied up and stick lifted. Suzuki gets it back at the far corner. Delivers it back over to the left wing for Hudson. Demidov rushes into it. Top of the right circle. Still on the far side. It's Suzuki as everyone is forced to the outside. As it's Slafkovsky in front. Loose puck in the blue paint. Swept away. Demidov is tied up. Carolina gets it out with 38 seconds left on the kill. Martinook to the bench. Lane Hudson waits up as the second unit steps out. Now Hudson will head over to the bench to get Noah Dobson out for the second power play unit. The first shot on goal for Montreal came on that power play as Dobson drops back. Leaned away near side is Texier. Up the far boards, Bolduc. When to go back for Texier, he was tied up. Kept in by Doc. Over to Texier, who defers over to Bolduc at the far corner. Now Texier near corner. 5 seconds left. In front is shut down by Freddie Anderson. And as Carolina clears, Svechnikov's back on the ice. And Carolina improves to 23 of 24 on the penalty kill at home this postseason. Mark Jankowski watches Noah Dobson. Josh Anderson rushes to it, far corner. Eric Robinson on him. Behind it is Bolduc, staying out there on the ice. Bolduc from the far half boards, back around from Gretzky's office. Exchange pass, as this is Danault. Whips around a shot. Bouncing puck delivered over to the far corner. Off of the Carolina defense. Dobson pinches. William Carrier picks his pocket. And Carrier takes a hard hit from Josh Anderson, loses his stick. Carolina gets his ahead for Eric Robinson, shoots, and that's gloved by Jakub Dobich from the top of the left circle. Aggressive penalty killing from Carolina has been the name of the game for them in this postseason run, including at home. forcing Montreal all over to the outside with almost no room to shoot. They have done the job once again. And that continued on a 5-on-5 where they have been dominant. Yuri Slafkovsky get the only shot on goal on that power play, where he was up and tight. Off the faceoff, it's grabbed by Montreal, cleared up through center, batted down by Carolina. This will be picked up now by Jackson Blake as Dobish sends this behind the net. As we're 5.5 minutes into Game 5. Carolina wins, the series is over. Montreal wins, it'll go to Game 6 at Bell Center. Caden Gooley sends it up ahead. Icing is waved off. Jake Evans is the first to the puck for the far corner. His pass was batted down. It's delivered over to Alex Newhook, who gets picked off. Up the far boards comes Carolina on a 2-on-2. Stankoven stops to the left point. Across the ice, he hits the trailer and Sean Walker. Exchange pass and Walker's stuffed by the defender in front. Davidov up the far board. Stankoven rushes back defensively on Newhook. All Newhook could do is just dump it in. Walker has the puck. Now he heads to the bench as Miller's holding on to it. Excellent defense from Carolina in this opening 6 1/4 minutes. Miller up the far boards on this pass. Jordan Stahl captaining this team in the Air Jordan line. Far corner is Struble. Falls down off a check. In front is Martinook. Stopped by Dobish. Off the feed from Nikolai Ehlers. What a line this has been in this postseason. Keandre Miller intercepted by Nick Suzuki as he comes back in at the right circle. Suzuki across the ice. Nobody is home at the slot. And Ehlers will clear this one out. Bouncing puck will make it over. Past Dobish for an icing. Rod Brindamore, as head coach of the Hurricanes, his team is 12-5 in closeout games. This is a closeout game itself. And that record started in Game 7 against the Washington Capitals in 2019. They took out the then defending Stanley Cup champions. It is Veleno and Stahl on this faceoff. Both start here. This faceoff to the right of Freddie Anderson. We're nearly 7 minutes in. Tie up. Control was earned by Montreal. Kirby Dach, however, is tied up. But he somehow scoops the puck up on the far corner. Leaves this one behind for Beauduc, who gets shoved by Stahl. Carolina doing several work here to get this one out, and they forced Montreal to be offside as Veleno thought that everybody was out. Nope, there was a Montreal player still in the zone. So you remember Claude Lemieux? All the best to his family, his friends, as we remember him. In Raleigh, North Carolina, where Carolina has a 3-1 series lead, a chance to close this out If Carolina wins, the Stanley Cup Final will start on June 2nd. If this heads to at least 6 games, the Stanley Cup Final will start on June 4th. The Vegas Golden Knights winning over the Colorado Avalanche 4-0. They're waiting for the winner of this series. And no matter what, they'll start on the road. From the far boards, this gets poked away by Jordan Martinook. Got the faceoff. He falls down. This is still advanced ahead. Dobich plays it out of his net. And Martinook loses his stick. He thought he got tripped up. Nick Suzuki ahead for Yuri Slafkovsky. And now it's picked up by Noah Dobson up the far side. His shot gets blocked by Jalen Chatfield. Now it's picked up by Martinook again. Second chance to clear this one out. Foot race for the puck. It is not enough for an icing as Jordan Stahl cancels out Mike Matheson. But is helped out by Nick Suzuki. Matheson it is. And now it is Seth Jarvis keeping this in down leap. Out in front, gets turned away. Montreal trying to get this out, which they do. Jarvis waits up on the blue line. Now walks this back in. Decides to dump this in. Or it goes past Martinook's loose stick. It's broken. Aho centering pass. Nothing home as this takes a bounce off Suzuki's stick. Svechnikov whacks at it. Now it's advanced for Alex Texier. Up the far corner. Keandre Miller is back, retrieves it, and Texier has his stick broken. Texier believes this should be a penalty for slashing. Foot race for the puck is won by Caden Gooley. He hit Martinook's broken stick. Then there's Lumber all over the ice. Martinook's broken stick and Texier's broken stick. Shots are 5-2 Carolina. Both goaltenders have turned away every shot. Icing here, this was not deflected in deep. But as a sigh of fresh relief for both teams, the Lumber can be cleaned up. Seth Jarvis gets caught up. And falling down was Cole Caulfield as he took a spill, trying to poke away the puck from Jarvis. He has 5 goals and 12 points in 18 games this postseason. He's frustrated. He knows his team is facing up against adversity. Taylor Hall is down well behind the play. He is hurt. Do remember, he was the one who hit Lane Hudson in Game 2, and Hudson's playing through the pain. Montreal walks back in with the puck from the far corner, but that's canceled out quickly. And this is moved up through to the near side. Hall seems to be all right. He's still on the ice. Advanced back deep. Hall from the near corner plays this back for Gostisbehere left point. Across for Nikishin, a blast! Stopped by Dobich. Alexander Nikishin still looking for his first point this postseason as Blake walks this back in. Blake to Stankoven, cuts it deep! Stankoven falls! He scores! Poked in by Taylor Hall, fighting through all sorts of pain in Carolina for the 5th straight game in the Eastern Conference Final, draws first blood! That's the shift that earns you the respect of your teammates. From the faceoff, he gets hounded down by Alex Texier. He was grabbed from the collarbone, brought down, and as Stankoven brings the puck back deep into the Montreal zone, Taylor Hall pokes in the loose rebound. He seemed to be hurt, but through the pain, he persevered and was at the net front when Stankoven drove the puck off the pass from Jackson Blake. This has been Carolina's best line in this postseason. However, the play is going to be under review. The question is if there was goaltender interference. Initially, it looked like Stankoven fell down. It's a coach's challenge for goalie interference. The initial play by Stankoven is that if Dobich were to play his position, is there contact with Dobich is the question. Stankoven drove towards the net. The skate hits the skate onto the pad. The pad goes out. Dobich is in the blue paint. Stankoven gets in there on his own will. And I feel this may be coming back. This may be coming back because Stankoven drove towards the net on his own will. He tried to avoid the contact. Now we have a ruling. Well, the goal is going to stand. No goaltender interference. And the goal is going to stand. The referees felt like there was not enough evidence to overturn this. As Stankoven didn't deliver too much contact. They felt that, and I feel like Stankoven slipped up. And it was incidental contact. As Stankoven didn't intentionally crash the net. Though I'm so surprised as well. Stankoven drove in on his own. You can make the argument that Stankoven drove in on his own and did nothing to slow himself down. But the counter argument here was that he was losing his balance and slipped up as he was coming to the net. Now Montreal is going to be shorthanded for 2 minutes on the unsuccessful challenge. As Stankoven was off balance. Now Carolina's on the power play as the Canadiens dumped this the distance. The Hurricanes have scored the opening goal in all 5 games of this series. Ehlers takes his one across, will drop off for Svechnikov, who hangs onto the puck in the left circle. He, Aho, Jarvis, Ehlers, and Gostisbehere, the same 5-man unit on the top of unit. As Ehlers tried one to stop by Dobish, Gostisbehere kept this one alive. Ehlers will try it again. Gostisbehere, Jarvis, across the corners over to Ehlers once more. Gostisbehere on a nifty pass. Gostisbehere, that shot was blocked. Carolina gets this back, however. Total domination here for Carolina on puck possession. That's the style of play which they like to go at. Svechnikov steals the puck from Mike Matheson. Kept alive behind the play. Broken stick on the ice as Carolina has this one cleared out by Montreal. Shots are 8-3 Carolina. Past the halfway mark of this first period. And you can't blame Marty St. Louis for challenging that play. Taylor Hall comes back with this, drops it off. Here is Logan Stankoven with it. Stankoven fires and is shut down by Dobish. 9:26 left. What a shift by Taylor Hall on the goal. Oh, that was scored. Stankoven wanted to follow up by doubling down. Mark Jankowski is on the ice in place of Ehlers. Carolina has liked his utilization at the net front on the fourth line and his penalty killing prowess. They have decided he has earned power play duties as Carolina is continuing to cycle this puck around. Jankowski to Miller. Keandre Miller waits up with this from the center of the point. 30 seconds left on this man advantage. Miller will try it himself. Walked in front. Montreal clears this down. 25 seconds left. Brady Anderson leaves this up front for Miller. He has 9 assists this postseason, looking to make it double digits. Up the far half, Boris is sent wide of Dobish. Stankoven keeps this one for Jackson Blake. Intercepted, and Jake Evans comes back with this. Cut apart, and Montreal will regain control 5 seconds. Down the near half boards, Newhook is turned away by Blake. Montreal is killed off this penalty. Blake moves up for Hall. Hall centering past Stankoven. Shut down and the rebound as well. From the far half, Boris is kept in control by Carolina. Cycling around is Svechnikov. Intercept on the behind the back pass. There's one defender back, that's Keandre Miller. And on the backhander is Zach Bowden with 8:23 left. In the first period, this heads to the netting, and Miller has some words for him after the whistle. Taylor Hall from Logan Stankoven and Jackson Blake. 8:23 left in the first period. I am Alec Nava, the solo call. We'll be right back. The NHL Situation Room has determined that Logan Stankoven was driving to the net looking to score a goal. He was not intending to collide with Jakub Dobeš by any means. Is what the ruling from the NHL Situation Room was. Off this faceoff is picked up by Keandre Miller. He gets this one out. For the near side is Jordan Martinook taking this in one-on-one. Doesn't have the support from his teammates as Jaden Struble washes him out. Stahl arrives. Martinook on the puck retrieval to keep it alive. Here's Stahl behind the net. Watched by Suzuki. Stahl keeps it. Right circle. Drops back. Chatfield. Jalen Chatfield to the net. Was looking for a deflection. Ehlers on the keep. Over to Martinook. Gets cut off. Turnaround shot. Rebound. Dobeš is saved. Puck is still loose. And it's held by Dobeš with some help from the captain, Nick Suzuki. Not once, but twice was Carolina threatening to make this 2-0. Great saves by Dobeš to turn away both Jordans, Stahl and Martinook. On the front, unbelievable saves by Jakub Dobeš, and what a response. It looked like this was going to go in off the 5-hole. 7 scoring chances already for the Canes, including those last 2. Montreal wins this faceoff, and they should have more things going right for them aside from just faceoff wins. Poke forward to Stankoven. Here's the feed on front. Jackson Blake shut down by Dobeš. He's been all over the puck for Montreal, and he's been their best player throughout this series, you could say. Lifted up on this bouncing puck as the Canadiens are retrieving it. Dobeš has been amazing, but Andrei Svechnikov comes back with a high shot as gloves down by Dobeš. Noah Dobson wanted to move this up front, but immediately Carolina came back rolling. Good poke by Jackson Blake in the neutral zone. They allowed Logan Stankoven to feed him up front, and Blake tried to go 5-hole. He has 2 of the grade A scoring chances for Carolina so far, and already the Hurricanes are up and rolling. They have 12 of the first 15 shots. Stankoven is just his 2nd assist of the postseason. He has 8 goals to match that. From the left point, Keandre Miller is sandwiched, but grabs a hold of the puck. Long shot, he wanted a deflection from Aho. And on a touch, interference penalty is called. And Svechnikov's headed to the box again. Goaltender interference. His 2nd penalty of this game as he runs into Jakub Dobeš. Now that time was clear. That was goaltender interference. An obvious penalty. Carolina fans disagree, thinking that he was driven into the net. But a penalty is a penalty. With 7:01 left in the first, Montreal could change the tide of this game. Now let's see if Montreal can cash in on this power play. Cole Caulfield has 3 power play goals. The only power play goal that the Canadiens have scored in the series was game 3 thanks to Lane Hudson, a nifty passing play between him and Caulfield. The pass could not be held in by Montreal. This is Ivan Demidov. Here is Suzuki as he carries the puck in. Kept in for the left point. Suzuki is driven towards the boards by Jalen Chatfield. Caulfield gets it free. From the right circle is Demidov. It's cut away, and now here's a 1-on-1 chance. Jordan Martinook decides to dump this down the zone. 30 seconds are killed off as Hudson will start up the play again. Hudson to the right. Caulfield drops it off for racing Suzuki. Up the middle. Now to the right for Demidov. Back for Suzuki. Sees his one go wide of him. Sean Walker up a chance to clear, and he capitalizes on it. 45 seconds gone into Svechnikov goaltender interference penalty. Dobeš places one behind. Lane Hudson leaned away as he drops this back and goes off for change. Alex Texier, the new man out there as part of the second unit, sends this down around the far boards. Keandre Miller cancels out Kirby Dach. Zach Bolduc and Alex Newhook out there as well. Newhook helps out Dach. Texier right around the boards for Dach, and now here's Newhook. Top of the right circle. Surveying from the near half boards. Now whips this one around over to Bolduc. To the point for Dobson. Dobson, a long shot. No deflection from Doc. Picked up by Carolina. And here's the third clear. Carolina has had their fingerprints all over the puck on the penalty kill, especially at home. 25 seconds left. As Montreal looks to get set here on this power play. Through the middle is Texier. Gets cut away, but keeps a hold with the puck. Texier wants to drop it, but gets pickpocketed in doing so. From the near corner, this clearing attempt is knocked down by Texier. Doc is down low behind the net. 6 seconds left. Poke free by Chatfield. Eric Robinson gets the puck out the zone from the far boards as Svechnikov jumps onto the ice. And here's a shot stopped by Dobej from Robinson. Just as Svechnikov came back onto the ice. The first period has been a tale of what has been this entire series. 1-0 Carolina. And this game isn't particularly close. The pressure comes all around from all sides. Carolina does a good job at forcing Montreal to the outside, giving them no space to maneuver. The second unit, of course, with Noah Dobson having the best chance, he needed deflection, but all other looks were outside. Taylor Hall has the lone goal of this game out on the ice again. The last shot taken by Eric Robinson sparked Carolina's 13 shots. Montreal has just 3. Philip Deneau is tossed out. Joe Veleno comes in to take this against Logan Stankoven. Stankoven wins it with help. Nikishin on the keep. Hall gets stick lifted, grabs a hold with the puck. Hall, loose stick on the ice. It's a quick shot. Score! Stankoven with his 9th of the postseason. The Storm Surge continues brewing here in Raleigh. A quick face-off win, and Taylor Hall set this up. The loose stick was of Mike Matheson as he lost control of it. Stankoven can only put this on one position, on the top corner. He fired the perfect shot past the screen that was in front. He could only put this in the position in which he could see, as there was someone directly on his face. And just like that, it's 2-0. He has a goal and an assist. Here's Svechnikov, who was shut down by Demidov. And now Montreal is back at their own zone. Carolina has almost as many goals as Montreal has shots. And Freddie Anderson gets another shutout. That would be something unprecedented. Jake Evans up to the near side to Lane Hudson, who was cut away. And now Montreal comes back with this puck. Drop pass off the far side. as Demidov waits, shoots, blocked. Keandre Miller. Who else? Miller has himself all over this puck. Both defensively and offensively as Jarvis and Hudson collide. Stankoven from Hall and Nikishin. And finally, Alexander Nikishin gets his first point of the postseason. And it's a secondary assist on a set play. Jalen Chatfield at the far side. It exits out of play onto the Carolina bench. Let's go Canes chants here at Lenovo Center. They win this, they'll host Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final here on the 2nd. Tomorrow is the UEFA Champions League Final. Paris Saint-Germain is looking to defend their title. They're going up against Arsenal, who has conceded just 6 goals in the entire Champions League. Right out in front, the center pass off the post from Suzuki. Oh my goodness, and Dobson follows up, that's blocked. Cole Caulfield keeps this in. Martinuk gets helped out on this exit by Jalen Chatfield. And Carolina can finally change lines. Mike Matheson sets up for Noah Dobson. So we're saying PSG is looking to defend their Champions League title. Have to go up against an Arsenal team that has conceded just 6 goals. Thanks to the stellar goalkeeping of David Raya. Sprung up ahead on the bouncing puck. Eric Robinson scores! It's pandemonium in North Carolina! Robinson with his 3rd of the series! William Carrier gets enough of this pass to lift us up ahead to spring Eric Robinson on the breakaway. A timely goal through the 5-hole of Jakub Dobeš, and it's deja vu of Game 4. In a span of minutes, the Hurricanes go up 3-0. But this time they do it in 100 seconds. Dobeš covers up with 3 minutes left. And it's a storm surge here for real. Outstanding. You know what to do with this puck. And you have the shoot first mentality that carries around. Montreal can only do so much as the pressure has been too much to overcome. Robinson from Will Carrier and Freddie Anderson coming back with this or the Habs as Dano sends this down low for Texier. Shoved and back it around to the right point for Hudson. Up ahead come the K's as they intercept this pass. Bouncing puck as directed over to the bench area. William Carrier. What a storyline this would be. Getting to face his former team, the Vegas Golden Knights. Should the Hurricanes win this game, they can hang on for another 42 minutes. Shane Gossett bears back, watching over Zach Bolduc. Intercepted by Sebastian Aho as this line jumps out there with Seth Jarvis. Jarvis up the near side. Raced down by Alex Carrier, who pins him towards the corner. Aho gets shoved by Caden Gooley as it's played out behind the net to Svechnikov. Shoves off his man Duck. Now back out to the right point. And then down to Gretzky's office goes Nikishin. Nikishin gets thick with it, stays with the puck. Nikishin tried to deliver. He spins out Bolduc. Stays at the near corner. Back over to Gostisbehere. Delivers it down low over to Jarvis. Bolduc intercepts. 90 seconds left in what has been a perfect first period for Carolina. They're almost quadrupling Montreal in shots. 15-4. Jarvis sends this in over to him for the far side. For the second straight game, it's a 3-0 lead for the Hurricanes. 3 goals in a minute 40. Jacob Slavin cuts this off. The 2 goals in a minute 40. Excuse me, I've been saying that wrong. As Jake Evans springs this back up ahead. Plays behind the net over to Freddie Anderson. As the Canadiens looking to get on the board, but nothing is doing. Here's Eric Robinson again. This time, one defender is back for Montreal. Bouncing puck. This goes past the left wing out to center. 40 seconds left. William Carrier sends this back in. Jakub Dobes plays it behind. Mike Matheson waits the time out as the fans are all loud here, and they're starting to wave their towels. Offside are the Canadiens. And Montreal is stunned as Alex Texier had a chance to finish Stankoven, instead decides to take a business decision and head to the bench. Stankoven, so Texier decides to not risk a penalty and instead goes to the bench. 26.1 seconds left. What a period for the Hurricanes. You can say this again in Game 4 in the first period. As Jordan Staal's line is back on the ice, the Air Jordan line. Lane Hudson wanted to dump this in, but that was blocked. Up ahead is Martinook, who lost his stick again. That's the second time this has happened in this period. He has to go to the bench for a new one. Montreal, 10 seconds, gets this up through. Bouncing puck is going to end up wide of Freddie Anderson, but because it was last touched at center ice by somebody, turnover in front. Lane Hudson, blocked by Keandre Miller to end the period. Sean Walker tried to slide a backhand pass to center ice, and I end up right onto the stick of Lane Hudson. Keandre Miller, who's at the postseason of his life. Time and time again, we've been saying this, but we can emphasize this one further with a huge block to end the first period. We come back. We'll head to the first intermission report. I am Alec now on the solo call. We'll be right back. Welcome to the first intermission report. For Carolina, it is basically the same feeling of euphoria that Knicks fans have been feeling in the last 11 games that they have played. A fever dream has come to fruition for Hurricanes fans. After losing the first game, Carolina has dominated the next 4. 3-0 Canes after 1. I am Alec Nava as we get through this rundown. Taylor Hall from Logan Stankoven and Jackson Blake. Stankoven from Hall and Alexander Nikishin. And Eric Robinson from William Carrier and Freddie Anderson. Oh, as we look at the shot board, that does it no justice. 15-4 Carolina. Hits are 11-5 Carolina as well. The two advantages that Montreal has had are in faceoffs and giveaways. 13-9, 4-10. All things else, it is all Carolina. Block shots 4-2, takeaways 5-0. So that is the scoreline here. They go over to the preview of the UEFA Champions League, which is tomorrow. So we can expect surprises all around in the Champions League final. So here's what you need to know for tomorrow in the Champions League final between Paris Saint-Germain and Arsenal. Arsenal's eager to add their first ever Champions League trophy in club history. But PSG and their fearsome attack is a formidable opponent for this winner-take-all showdown. It's the first time since 2020 in which the two finalists in the Champions League won their respective domestic leagues. Arsenal won the Premier League, PSG won the French League 1. As we're going over everything, in Arsenal, they were the top overall seed. They have conceded just 6 goals overall in this tournament. PSG and their electric attack has been the storyline throughout their run, led by Kavica Kvaratskhelia. They're both 13 months removed from playing each other in the Champions League semifinals. PSG won both legs, 1-0 at the Emirates, 2-1 at the Parc des Princes. Both managers, but especially Arsenal's Mikel Arteta, because perfectionists tend to linger on defeats more than successes, have scrutinized those games multiple times in search of an edge. What strikes you is how open the two legs were, how things could have gone either way. Yes, in addition to the 3 goals, PSG also missed a penalty and hit the goalpost twice, but Arsenal forced a half-dozen miracle saves from then PSG goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma. The expected goals, even counting Vitinha's missed penalty, end up favoring Arsenal by a whopping 4.54 to 2.90. A year later, PSG has essentially the same lineup. The only difference is that Donnarumma is now at Manchester City, and the new goalkeeper for PSG is Matvei Safonov. The Russian international has done well since winning the starting job halfway through the season. He's no Donnarumma. Not yet, anyway. But like last year, when they rode a wave of momentum to the 4-0 hammering up Inter Milan in the final, PSG was firing on all cylinders, as seen in the epic semi-final this year against Bayern Munich. Arsenal has transformed themselves in every department. William Saliba is the only likely holdover in the back 4. Jurrien Timber is out. Gabriel is back. They'll better defender, either Piero Hincapié or Riccardo Calafiori at left back. In midfield, they may probably have a deep line playmaker, Martin Zubimendi, and a possible alternative, Martin Odegaard and Eperechi Eze. So it's a hard-running alternative such as Noni Madeki on the wing. And up front, they have Victor Gilchrist and Kai Havertz to beat their striker. They can alternate between the two of them. That is 3 million plus of transfers last summer that didn't just overhaul the side, but led to Arteta to adopt a different identity. More intense, more physical, less open, less pretty, but also more versatile and more individual match winners. This version of Arsenal can beat you in many ways than last year's edition. It's unlikely to be a rerun of last year's Champions League semifinals as Arsenal added dimensions and depth to the side that was knocked out by PSG. Would that have happened if they advanced to 1-0? We never know. Arteta chose to find something new with a host of new actors. Apart from one leading man, PSG manager Luis Enrique has the exact same lineup and the exact same play style, only even better executed than a year ago. Arsenal is the classic style of football. Physical, athletic, defensively sturdy, exceptional from set pieces. They would fit in perfectly in the 2010s era of Premier League football, in which Arsene Wenger was basically coaching them to play in a completely different style. Arteta, Pep Guardiola, and many others have spoken about staying true classic English football values while also taking the game forward. The Gunners aren't afraid to be old school required. That fueled their success here. Luis Enrique dreams of fielding 10 outfield players who can fill every position. That's something a little far-fetched, but something would have gone very wrong if Ousmane Dembele is making last-man tackles. But the spirit of what Luis Enrique is asking for is that all of his players are comfortable on the ball in every area of the pitch. Nuno Mendes can tear forward and run through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, while Kvaratskhelia moves mountains to cover him on the defense. You'll get the idea. It is this free-flowing football on par with Pep Guardiola's Barcelona from 2008 to 2012. Yet Enrique is also pushing and asking for even more. There's a connection between the two, as Luis Enrique also managed Barcelona in the mid-2010s. A win for Arsenal would seal their greatest season in the club history. They have never won the Champions League or European Cup. They reached the final just once, losing 2-1 to Ronaldinho's Barcelona 20 years ago. Now that they've won their first Premier League crown in 22 years, Arteta's side now stands one game away from immortality. The Invincibles got to the Champions League quarterfinals. The domestic double-winning season of 71, 98, and 02 will be surpassed if the Gunners triumph here. It will also end the debate about Arsenal's conservative style of football. They gave it just 6 goals in Europe, and a successful containment job on PSG would cement Arteta's status as one of the elite coaches in European football. Knocking on the door in the Premier League for some time, they've also gradually progressed in the Champions League. When he would elevate the key players on the team, such as Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka, will be vital for England at this summer's World Cup. Some doubt their ability to consistently define the biggest occasions in the manner expected against best. PSG is on the verge of history. A win would get them as the 10th team all-time to win consecutive Champions League titles. Last year's triumph over Inter Milan was special. The way the Parisians played, their 0-2 football, the goals they scored, perfect harmony. This time's different, playing the other best team in Europe this season. Against Arsenal, Luis Enrique's players have to find new ways of making history. PSG dominating Europe 2 seasons in a row will be something else, taking Luis Enrique, the brains behind PSG's success, to another level. It'll be his third Champions League title with 2 different clubs after 2015 with Lionel Messi and Barcelona, and last year's triumph. He also joined Guardiola, Zinedine Zidane, Bob Pace, and Carlo Ancelotti on the list of managers who have won it at least 3 times. Gabriel and Saliba formed the bedrock of the Arsenal team. They've won 13 games by 1 goal, and their center backs provide the foundation of the ability to grind out tight wins. PSG is the most dynamic attacking side in Europe. For Arsenal to succeed, this duo will have to be at their best. They also have to pose a threat going the other way, so Rice's ability to win the midfield battle is vital, as is the transformative effect that Saka often has on Arsenal's forward line. He tapped himself in a tight semifinal against Atletico Madrid, becoming the first Arsenal player to score in 2 Champions League semifinals. Gyökeres was criticized for much of the season amid concerns about his hold of play and quality against the best. But he goes to Budapest with 21 goals and a chance to become a European champion. Kvaratskhelia has been the best player in the Champions League this season. With 10 goals and 6 assists and 15 games, no one has been able to stop him. His creativity and clutch side seems to have no limits. Arsenal have to play his usual substitute center back, Christian Mosquera, at right back, and the final could be won or lost there. Dembele, though, his movement intelligence will be a handful, as is Desiree Doué, the man of the match in last year's final. Arsenal will win if they make their set pieces count. And that's the most obvious statement. Pressuring PSG goalkeeper Safonov could force a mistake that they can punish. But that's not to say the Gunners can't hurt Lucho's men in open play. Saka would have seen Michael Elise bamboozle Mendes defensively and back himself to do the same. While if Warren Zaire-Emery will have to stand there right back again. Arsenal's left side also could come into play. Arteta's men are well equipped to suffer without the ball for longer periods, but there will be moments when the ball must stick when they play forward. Kai Havertz has a huge responsibility to receive, protect, and get his team up the pitch. Later, Gilchrist can run the channels against tired legs. PSG wins if they impose their will. If they settle to the rhythm and ping the ball about with ease, nothing will stop them. The final last year was PSG's high-octane attack against Inter's rock-solid defense. The former won. It's not going to be shocking to target the Gunners' right flank given their injury concerns at fullback, and given that the combo of Mendes and Kvaratskhelia is arguably the best in the world going forward. They also need to discipline themselves on tackles and duels in defensive third, ensuring Arsenal gets as few set pieces as possible, which is of the utmost priority. When we come back, it'll be a second period. After this extended first intermission, I am Alec Nava. We'll return in a moment. As we get set for the second period, there have been 5 first overall picks with a Hart Trophy, Conn Smythe Trophy, and Stanley Cup in NHL history. The previous winners were Guy Lafleur, Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, and Alex Ovechkin. Could Taylor Hall join this list with 5 more wins for Carolina? That is the question here. An opening faceoff is won by Montreal, and once again, Marty St. Louis has tweaked up his lines. Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield have a new line mate, Alex Newhook. That was the case. Well, Suzuki is now teamed up with Newhook and Demidov, as Marty St. Louis is looking to tweak up his lines. Throughout, Carolina outshot Montreal badly in that first period, 15-4. Another breakout. Seth Jarvis. Save rebound. Oh my goodness. There was a stick in the second chance. And I thought Jarvis was going to score in there. Jarvis comes back with the puck sandwiched by Suzuki and Lane Hudson. Penalty against Montreal. That was Nick Suzuki, who has played 537 out of a possible 537 career NHL games. 7 years, no games missed. And he has not missed a single game at the Olympics. Cross-checking is the call. Jordan Martinook and Caden Gooley also got tied up behind the play. No penalty was called there. We look at the Seth Jarvis mini breakaway. Well, he fanned on a second chance. No, if Caden Gooley got a stick on it. It looked like his right leg got tangled up as Jordan Stahl is on the ice for this faceoff and Gooley is shaken up. Montreal wins this faceoff, but Carolina is pressuring to keep this in. Rod Brindamore once again starting with the second unit as he feels as the unit that's riding the hot hand. Stankoven finds Blake. Blake to hold down low. Oh, Stankoven, tie up! Kept in by Carolina. In the zone is Jackson Blake, left point. Feed to the Stankoven, tape to tape. That pass hit a leg, and this will go all the way back into Carolina's zone end. Keandre Miller will start up with the puck, delivers it over to Stankoven right side. Stankoven across the ice for Hall. He waits a bit from the top of the left circle. Stankoven and Hall play catch. Fed back for Miller from the left point. Blake is opposite him. Miller decides to go to Hall. Delivers it down low, and here's Keandre Miller on the keep off the attempt to clear from Jake Evans. Bouncing puck is kept in by Carolina from Keandre Miller. Stankoven gets pickpocketed, and the Habs get this out. Mike Matheson comes out the ice and onto the bench. Miller waits up as the first unit jumps on. See if Nikolai Ehlers gets double shifted. He's been on the ice for the second unit. Aho to the left. Saucer pass towards the bottom of the left circle. Centering pass in front. Didn't make it all the way, and Montreal will clear it down. And the Canadiens again will run out some more time. And indeed, as we speak, Ehlers is double shifted. He gets the puck back and will lead it for Aho. Now Jarvis. Jarvis wanted to drop it, but in the way was Philip Deneau. Deneau waits. He is joined by Alex Carrier as one of the Hurricanes falls down. Deneau shoots this off the pad of Anderson. On a low percentage shot, 15 seconds left in the penalty. As this Goss's Bear will feed it for Jarvis. Jarvis gets up ahead. Saucer pass up front, and Dobich is in trouble. Loose puck is cleared away. That's going to run out this penalty. Freddie Anderson will head back for Jalen Chatfield. Take his tie with this. And the first over to Jacob Slavin. Slavin to Chatfield once more. Chatfield springs the rush. Dumps it around the near boards. It'll be collected far corner. Lane Hudson in the way, however. Slavkovsky. Once again, the lineup changes by Montreal. Been a fiend in game 4 as this puck is kept in by the Canes. Hudson is in trouble. Carrier wanted to poke that one away. Jordan Stahl was there too. But Montreal skates away with this. Cole Caulfield up the far side. Cross-ice pass to make it all the way. Held inside by Josh Anderson. Slavkovsky drops it towards the right point. Gets it back from Hudson. Slavkovsky controls to the point. His shot's blocked. And it bounces out of play. He had that 3-point night in game 1. He has just 1 point ever since. As Suzuki makes his way to the bench. 17-5. The shots in favor of the Canes. It is desperation time for Marty St. Louis. So you can't blame him for making a challenge. With 3:35 into the second period, as this faceoff is won by Carolina. Surviving 2 stick lifts. Oh, Joe Veleno got high sticked. Carolina will go down a man. That was out the faceoff, and it's Alex Aradikishin going to the box. And yes, it was a high stick from Nikishin on Veleno. He has to the bench to get checked up on. It's 2 minutes. Montreal to the power play. Carolina has done a good job of keeping them to the outside. And the Hurricanes being a blueprint of how to kill off penalties here in this postseason. Nick Suzuki has 2 postseason power play goals. Let's see if he can strike here. Here's Suzuki who drops it all the way for Hudson. Hudson delivers across for Slafkovsky. Davidoff. Slafkovsky goes back for Hudson. Hudson's screen shot tipped by Caulfield to stop by Freddie Anderson. And it's played around for the near boards, cleared out by Carolina. Lane Hudson wakes up. No shots for the Habs on either of their first two power plays. Slafkovsky and Suzuki go side by side as they enter in. To Caulfield. Caulfield goes back. Chatfield got to stick it away. Slafkovsky on the receiving end. Back for Caulfield at the right point. Now over to Hudson as Caulfield goes onto the slot. Cycled around over to Davidoff. Back around. Cross-ice pass. And Caulfield didn't get much on that shot. Slafkovsky on the keep. Hudson on the reception. Now back for Suzuki. Suzuki on the front. Caulfield couldn't get a stick on the puck and Chatfield clears it out. 1 minute gone here at the penalty. Suzuki will go back with this. We'll see if he goes up for a change. Suzuki waits a bit. He decides to drop back. Racing up is Lane Hudson as he enters in. Hudson has this one sticked away from him, and Keandre Miller will send this down the length of the ice. 40 seconds left on this power play. Jakub Dobeš out to play it, and the second unit takes the ice. The five-man unit of Newhook, Doc, Bolduc, Texier, and Dobson. Leading the way is Dobson, the defenseman, and the power play quarterback. Carolina does a good job at keeping this away from Montreal, as there's 20 seconds left in the Nikishin penalty. Bolduc will start up. Delivers this back over to Dobson. Now fed up for Newhook. Newhook goes back for Dobson. He's cut away by both Walker and Miller. Keandre Miller with this. Miller takes his time to dump this down the ice. And with that, the Hurricanes are free for free on penalty kills tonight. Alex Newhook playing catch with Mike Matheson. We're approaching 6 minutes gone here in the second period. All the scoring done in the first period. Just one shot on the third power play of the night for the Habs. Mike Matheson goes to the far side, and falling down was Taylor Hall. Dobson falls down himself too. It'll be Stankoven jumping to the puck. But it'll be picked up by Jake Evans. Not for long though, as Blake sandwiches Evans, and this puck comes loose towards the right side, held in by Jalen Chatfield. Backing around for Blake at the far corner. As it went past Hall. Danault shut him down. Behind the net, now coming out in front. Danault springs this up ahead. Towards the left, intercepted, and now Carolina comes back with this puck for a brief period before Montreal moves this up from right to left. Down to the near side is Jake Evans. Evans to the net. Shut down by Freddie Anderson. Gets it back from Danault. Now at the right point is Alex Carrier. Caden Gooley. Sent a pass towards the slot, was blocked off nicely by Jacob Slavin. That is Philip Danault as Slavin rides into the corner. Bouncing puck is up off of Stankoven and later Slavin. Now Jake Evans will get to the puck for the far half boards. Pass up for Gooley. Gooley's shot was blocked in front. Stankoven ties up his man. Evans centers this one up, and Carolina lands on this. Now here's Taylor Hall. Springing ahead to the fence. Hall, save, rebound, score! Jackson Blake! Carolina's second line is free for free. Taylor Hall gets sprung up on the breakaway. Jackson Blake wants the trailer on the rebound chance should it come to him. And he finds the wide open net just as Dobeš was scrambling to get back into position. A trip that was 20 years brewing and in the making, and now Marty St. Louis could be faced with questions, but Dobeš is still in. 4-0 Carolina. As Blake gets a goal and assist. Svechnikov turns around, fires, blocked. Held in by Carolina from Seth Jarvis as he fights off one of the Habs defenders. Jaden Struble, Nick Suzuki both onto the puck. Struble gets onto it, but he is double teamed immediately by Jarvis and Svechnikov. The latter comes away with the puck. Struble stays with it. Newhook with it. Blake from Hall and Stankoven. It is Blake's 5th of the postseason. What a run this trio has had. From the far outboards is kept in by the Habs for a brief moment. Comes to the far corner. Suzuki waits. Swings it across. On the backhand, Freddie Anderson's all over it. And he covers up this loose rebound. Cole Caulfield with the last shot for Montreal. And a swing and a miss. The Canadiens had several chances to score, but Sebastian Aho with the quick recovery to deny him. Jackson Blake is our latest goal scorer. Alec Navahiri on the solo call. We'll be right back. Carolina's second line this postseason has been dominant. 16 points for Taylor Hall, who leads the team, 5 goals, 11 assists. Logan Stankoven, 9 goals, 3 assists. Danault and Stahl on the faceoff to the right of Freddie Anderson, who has set a Carolina single-season postseason record for most shutouts. Dumped into the near corner as the Hurricanes looking to make it to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in franchise history. Sean Walker comes back covering Danault. Bouncing puck is settled down in the Carolina end. Sprung up ahead from Martinook. Intercepted by Hudson. Delivered back over to Cole Caulfield. Caulfield behind Dobish's crease. And it's sent ahead over to Danault. There's a loose stick on the ice. Danault backhands it. Intercepted by Walker. Jackson Blake is back out with the rest of the second line. A serious vibes to the HBK line from the 2016 run for the Pittsburgh Penguins as Jacob Slavin will deliver to Blake. Now he gets it back. Sprung out for Stankoven and... Oh, the fans are chanting, "Ole, ole, ole." Well, from the likes of it, from what you're hearing from the fans, yes, it sounds like you're hearing this from a Canadiens home game. This is a Hurricanes home game at Lenovo Center. Whether it be them saying goodbye to Montreal or them celebrating the fact that they're going to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in 20 years is yet to be determined. But it will be jubilation in Raleigh should this happen. Watch parties at Carolina ale houses are going to be filled across the state no matter what. A team that was on the verge of relocation several years ago, in the final years of the Carmanos ownership, has stood here for the long haul. Jankowski and Veleno on this faceoff just outside Montreal's zone is won by the Habs. This bounces up. And since the expansion era started, the Hurricanes are the 7th team to win 11 of their first 12 playoff games. That doesn't sound like a real stat, but I promise you, if you look it up, you'll find it right there. Mike Matheson's pass intercepted by Shane Gostisbehere, but he gets sprung at from the far corner. Out to the right point, goalie holds for Alex Carrier. His shot's blocked in front by William Carrier. Some Carrier on Carrier violence as we speak. Well, not in terms of post-whistle scrums or fighting. Caden Gooley sends it up the boards through the far side by the Carolina bench as William Carrier goes off for his change. Alex Carrier remains on the ice. Both are natives of Quebec. They both come from different parts of Quebec, as William is from LaSalle, Alex is from Quebec City. Seth Jarvis tries to center one up. This takes a bounce off of one of Montreal's guys. Aho is on the keep. From the far corner is Svechnikov. Ball's down, and here is a whistle for a penalty. Lane Hudson's going to the box. So Carolina will head to the power play as he high-sticked Andrei Svechnikov, and then he shoves Svechnikov several times. Back with you for Game 5 when we return. Wow. For those who follow along the sporting community, and if you follow along through the dumpster fire, Urinating Tree just pointed out a tweet saying, I must prepare my vocal cords. For those who don't realize, he's going to insert Hurricanes man into the haters' guide to the 2026 Stanley Cup Final, as Carolina is 29 minutes away from reaching there, and Stankoven gets turned away by Dobish. Carolina leads 4-0, and that almost was just the third power play goal of this entire series. The second one from Carolina, had that have been the case if Stankoven converted. Dobish looked like it was going to try for an empty net goal. All jokes aside, he cleared this one down himself. He said, you know what? Fine, I'll do it myself. Logan Stankoven drops back over to Jackson Blake. Bottom of the right circle. Goes back over to Keandre Miller. To the left side is Taylor Hall. Top of the left circle. That shot is wide. Held in by Blake. Jackson Blake. Over to Stankoven. Drops out for Hall. Now Blake again. From the right point. Blake holds to Miller. 1 minute gone in this penalty, as is Taylor Hall looking from behind the net. Goes back over to Miller. Now left side for Nikolai Ehlers. Miller fakes the shot. Ehlers again to the far corner. Ehlers walks out onto the top of the left circle. He and Miller trade spots. Now it's Jackson Blake holding over to Ehlers. Ehlers cuts back over to Blake. Surveys, fires. That's up high. Held in by Miller at the deep left point. 38 seconds left on this power play as Miller will hand off. Now Jackson Blake. Long shift for these Hurricanes here as Stankoven holds. That went off the outside the post on a low percent shot. That was a tight angle. From the left circle, Carolina looks to hang on as Stankoven looking to get another chance here. 18 seconds left on this power play. Carolina has had their second out there for almost its entirety. Ehlers goes down low. That puck was chipped away, but Stankoven will be able to keep. Caden Goulet shoves him down onto the boards as Carolina keeps this as the power play ends and sprung ahead. Late at the play was Lane Hudson. Freddie Anderson will play this one out. Long pass ahead from Freddie Anderson was knocked away as Carolina keeps this in the zone. Rolling puck played ahead by Montreal from the far side. They take this into the zone across the ice. Knocked away as Josh Anderson gets turned away by Freddie Anderson. Different spelling, same pronunciation. Mike Matheson steps into it from the left circle. Centering pass and Josh Anderson's turned away by Freddie Anderson again. It's held in by Montreal once more. Alex Texier cut away as it's backhanded out onto the far half boards. Moved over by Andrei Svechnikov across to center ice. Puck gets played by a high stick. And from the Twitter Spaces feed, on a reply from Patrick Rush. For you, I hope the Canes win the cup. Thanks, Patrick. On the Twitch side, go Habs, go not Canes. Well, I know Montreal's losing, but I have to say, I'm offering a truce. I'm offering a truce for the duration of the Stanley Cup Final. We must come together as hockey fans, because there are greater evils that lie ahead. And I'm trying to be as neutral as possible, but here, I cannot be. For the Stanley Cup Final, that is. Here, yes, I can be as neutral as possible, but the Stanley Cup Final, yeesh. I have to unleash something they've never seen before. But from the far side, this is moved up by Carolina as Jordan Stalls shoves away Jaden Struble. Juraj Slafkovsky sends this out. High glove down by Carolina's defenseman. I think that's Jalen Chatfield. Yes, it is. As it's played behind from Struble to Hudson. Lane Hudson moves it up near side for Jake Evans, who gets shoved away. Jordan Martinook turned away by Jakub Dobeš. And he'll hang on with 5:33 left in the second period. 5.5 left. Alec, now with you. We're just less than 26 minutes away from a Carolina-Vegas Stanley Cup Final. Should Carolina hang on to win? Carolina runs a set play on the power play several times where they win the faceoff, They immediately drop back and cycle the puck towards the front. They work from the center point, left point, near corner, slot, goal. Sometimes they work that out. And it works at times. It works from time to time. That's one of their best set pieces on the faceoff on the power play. No 2-on-1 as Caden Goulet rushes back to protect the puck for Montreal. But Carolina manages to steal it away, near corner. But a shove ends that. Caden Goulet picking this one up. Alex Newhook getting it out. Newhook leads all Montreal players in goals this postseason as this is backhanded hit by Davidoff. Just wide of the net with a defender right on his face. That was Keandre Miller. All looked like somebody got tripped up. No, there was nobody getting tripped up. We stay 5-on-5. At least what the officials say. Sean Walker, Miller's partner on the defense pairs. Arguably Carolina's best defensive pairing throughout the duration of this postseason. Up the far boards, the Canadiens sent this one ahead. This bounces up and is collected by the Hurricanes. Alexander Nikishin, part the bottom pairing of Shane Gostisbehere, but it's a bottom pairing in name only. Montreal sets up as they move it across the ice. Zach Bolduc up ahead. Sent up and around and back towards the left wing. Matheson blasted this one wide. Hall trying to get this out. Can't do so for the moment, but he gets some help. Cleared out through center, and the Canadiens will start again. 3:50 left in the middle frame as it's brought back in. 2-on-1 here. Kirby Doc backhand run across. Going to be fed home to Alex Carrier, and then Anderson turns away a shot from the far half boards. Canadiens on a change. They do get their 5 guys out on the ice right now. From the far half boards, Alex Carrier touches up. There is a penalty against Montreal. Too many men on the ice is the penalty. As you can count up the number of players on the ice on this sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all of them were 5 feet or more away from the bench. Of course, that was, and they're all playing on the ice at the same exact time. Oh my goodness. Well, all you can do at times is just shake your head. Of course, as was made of a point in the last game, Montreal had a lot of self-inflicted mistakes in Game 4. This is another one of those self-inflicted mistakes. The Hurricanes win this faceoff. Are they going to run this set play again? Quick shot by Gostisbehere, and Dobish turns that away. Jordan Staal, his brother Eric won a Stanley Cup with Carolina. You look at the top 5 skaters on each team entering tonight on Time on Ice. Lane Hutson, having played a total of 461 minutes and 37 seconds of ice time. And that's through all games in the postseason for him. From the far corner is Carolina looking for a 5th goal, and that backhander is set wide. Jordan Staal keeps this alive, fed over towards the left side, and Sebastian Aho couldn't tip this one home. He does keep the puck alive, bounces up off of Jake Evans, and Evans gets this out muscling Aho. Staal will exit, Ehlers will enter. 35 seconds gone here on this bench penalty for too many men on the ice as Aho waits up, delivers far side, and is shot in right around the boards. From the right point, it is Aho who will find Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere towards the bottom of the left circle. The attempted pass for Gostisbehere didn't work. The second effort did. From the left point, Gostisbehere in control to Jarvis. Jarvis cycles around to Svechnikov and then back over to Gostisbehere. Getting it back is Svechnikov, now Jarvis. Aho waits, shoots, say Dobish. And this will be grabbed by Gostisbehere, who sent it towards the left circle. Gostisbehere gets it back. The former Philadelphia Flyer fakes a shot and decides to go back towards the point. He and Jarvis trade places. Gostisbehere steps into it. Over to Aho. Doesn't shoot it as one half went down the block. Gostisbehere, or rather Ehlers. He and Jarvis play catch. Ehlers on the return feed. 2 minutes left in the period. Ehlers, tap pass in front. Gostisbehere, score! And the goal-scoring party continues in Raleigh. A brilliant passing play. We talked about the set play that Carolina likes to do when on the man advantage. This time it wasn't exactly center point, left point, near corner, slot, but a variant of it. Ehlers went down low. Jarvis sees that his shooting lane was closed off and goes to Gostisbehere, who's positioned in the slot. Right place, right time. And with 1:58 left, the Hurricanes up 5-0. Just the third power play goal of this entire series, but it's one of those that matters the most. The Hurricanes up 5-0, and that backhander was stopped by Dobish off of Mark Jankowski. The fourth line's out there. 100 seconds left in this second period, and the past 5 periods for the Canes have been perfection. Even the 2 games played that went to overtime weren't really close games. From the far boards, Montreal holds it. Gostisbehere from Jarvis and Ehlers. Davidoff to the front. Suzuki shut down by Anderson. What a save by Freddie Anderson. He's been near perfection in this postseason run. Jaden Struble shoots one towards the net. And Freddie has another one. Game 1 will be on June 2nd, as we're in full belief that Carolina will advance and play Game 1 here at Lenovo Center. The Caniacs are fired up. North Carolina's fired up. Looking to take on the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final. Face off to the right of Freddie Anderson with 65 seconds left in the second period. Philip Deneau loses this face-off. Carolina gets this one out. Bouncing puck will be picked up by Lane Hudson. Hudson waits. The Let's Go Canes chants resume. The horn sounds, as is Yuri Slavkovsky across. Knocked away. Plate to center. Jaden Struble has it. Through the far boards, Carolina has their fingerprints all over it. And Jordan Stahl sends this the distance and clearing it down. Philip Deneau slows up. Shoved by Gostisbehere. Slowly walks his way around. Cole Caulfield from the far corner. Mike Matheson jumping onto the puck. Logan Stankoven forces him wide. Matheson still on it. Cuts to the front. Freddie Anderson gets the better of it and Carolina clears it down. The ole, ole, ole chants continue on to the night. Here as the second period will come to a close as Freddie makes one last save in this period. And it's 5-0 Canes. And at this point you wonder if hockey can have a mercy rule. The shots are 24-15 after 2 periods of play. The towels wave here, Raleigh. The Canes have left the Habs silent, speechless, and stunned. Second intermission report is coming up next in just a moment. I am Alec Nava on the solo call. We'll be right back. Another period, another frame of Carolina domination. Add 2 more goals to this. The Hurricanes go up 5-0 after 40 minutes of action. The ole, ole, ole chants. You could hear the ring all throughout. Lots of laughs in here. I am Alec Nava. Welcome on board to the second intermission report. Jackson Blake scored. Follow up on a breakaway. Taylor Hall and Logan Stankoven the assists. Shane Gostisbehere on a power play from Seth Jarvis and Nikolai Ehlers. Well, the stats do it no justice either. As Montreal has had no answer for the Hurricanes' punishing attack. All throughout. It's just, there's been a whole bunch of nothing for Montreal in the first period. They do get 11 shots, but allowing 2 goals puts an even bigger damper on it. Shots are 24-15 Canes after 2. Hits are 14-8 Canes after 2. And Carolina took over the faceoff dot in the second period. Now they lead the faceoffs 20-16. Have scored their lone power play goal of this game where they're 4-1. Montreal is 0-3. Block shots 6-3 Canes. Takeaways are 5-2 Canes. And giveaways are 15-5 Hurricanes. As we go over to news headlines around the NHL and around the sporting world. As we go on to the Bruce Cassidy front. Bruce Cassidy was upset that he can't interview with other teams after the Vegas Golden Knights front office declined reporter requests from the Oilers and the Kings. It's public knowledge and he wants to talk with them for interviews. He knows he wants to get back to being a bench boss. The Golden Knights fired Cassidy with 8 games left in the regular season, and Vegas struggling to hold on to a playoff spot. John Tortorella was hired as his replacement, and Cassidy, who led the Golden Knights to the 2023 Stanley Cup, and the organization's longest tenured coach, said contracts come with a standard clause that prohibits clubs from allowing even fired coaches to interview elsewhere without permission. He said his deal goes through next season. And Vegas general manager Kelly McCrimmon said Thursday he understands how Cassidy feels, but is obligated to do what is best for the Knights. However, the wording is very curious. He told TSN 1050's Overdrive in Toronto, it's only used because Edmonton leaked it. So this isn't something that came out of our organization. We've been forced to respond to it, which he did prior to our series against the Avalanche. That's what he said. And the NHL Coaches Association has criticized the Golden Knights for prohibiting Cassidy's ability to interview elsewhere. I have to say, just because you're fired by a team doesn't mean that this team that fired you should dictate if you go elsewhere. The other thing is about IHF competition. The International Ice Hockey Federation said they'll determine the status of Russia's participation on an event-by-event basis for the 2027 season. They were banned from participating in any of the tournaments run by the sport's governing body since the country invaded Ukraine in February 2022, including preventing Russian players, including those in the NHL, from taking part in the Milan Cortina Olympics. That decision to evaluate eligibility on a case-by-case basis comes after January decision to bar Russian teams, including at the youth level, was annulled following appeal from the Russian Ice Hockey Federation. But it's not a full reversal because the IHF disciplinary board explicitly confirmed that this does not mean that Russia has automatically been reintegrated. The IHF said they'll reintegrate Belarus at the U18 men's and women's events and the Women's Division 4 World Championship beginning this year. Belarus, however, has also not been allowed to play since aiding Russia in this war in Ukraine. The IHF Council said the decision to bring back some teams of Belarus was not taken lightly. Oh, and also in the Olympics news, 2 people were arrested and other protesters moved away from the site proposed main stadium for the 2032 Brisbane Olympics, which is the center point over the future of a heritage-listed park in the city. The dispute centers around Victoria Park, the site of the proposed 3.6 billion Australian dollar Brisbane Olympics main stadium, which is $2.6 billion in US dollars. A man and a woman were taken into custody for obstructing and assaulting the police officers. And Yagra Indigenous elder Yada Carey Charlton estimated up to 50 police arrived at the site, as well as Brisbane City Council staff. Ownership of the land is said to be transferred to the Games Independent Infrastructure and Coordination Authority on Monday. Fences are being erected around the site in preparation. The Queensland government is adamant that the construction will proceed immediately. Victoria Park was exempted from heritage by the Australian federal government. Environmental planning laws in 2025 has converted it into freehold land, but Charlton's challenge to development. The application is under review. So tomorrow is Game 7 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and San Antonio Spurs. John Ott had the coverage for for Game 6 yesterday. Go follow him at John Wright on Twitter and YouTube. OKC will be without Jalen Williams, without the Y, in Game 7. He aggravated his left hamstring injury in Game 2, missing Games 3, 4, and 5, and played only 10 minutes in Game 6 off the bench, finishing with 1 point and with a minus 18 rating. And Mark Daigneault said that his hamstring is obviously not 1%. Nobody knew what to expect. So it's a matter of getting out there. So as Daigneault said, it was a matter of getting him out there in kind of an insulated role and see what he can bring to the team. He's an all-star player. He's an all-NBA player. He hasn't done a full return-to-play protocol like he would if this was the regular season. And yet, he just wants to do whatever he can to try to contribute whatever he can to the team. Williams was dribbling the ball out of bounds for one of his 2 turnovers, and he lacked the burst that he had. He exited the Frostbank Center without speaking to the media. The Thunder have officially ruled him out. He was a third-team All-NBA selection last year, where he played a critical role in the Thunder's title run despite playing for a right wrist injury that required surgery. But he struggled to stay on the floor this season, limited to just 33 regular season games because of his recovery from off-season wrist surgery and a right hamstring strain that he aggravated. He strained his left hamstring in the second game of the playoffs, sidelining him for 6 games before returning for the series opener against the Spurs. Game 1 will be against the Knicks, and the team that wins the Game 7 will have home court advantage against New York. The Knicks will for sure be the underdogs. The Orlando Magic have finalized the deal to hire Sean Sweeney, the Spurs' associate head coach. Sweeney spent the season as San Antonio's lead assistant, and he replaced Jamal Mosley, who was fired after the Magic blew a 3-1 series lead to the Detroit Pistons, and has since become the head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans. Sweeney will finish the remainder of the postseason on the Spurs bench, including Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Former Bulls head coach Billy Donovan and Clippers assistant coach Jeff Van Gundy were also finalists for the Magic's coaching vacancy. And Sweeney, Donovan, and Van Gundy held in-person meetings with top Magic officials last week before a decision was made to offer the job to Sweeney, who blew Orlando away during his interview process and meeting with ownership in San Antonio. Sweeney ran San Antonio's defense for Coach of the Year finalist Mitch Johnson this season, who had improved from 25th to 3rd in the NBA's defensive efficiency rankings, with praise from young stars Victor Wembanyama and Stephon Castle. The Spurs were also top 5 in defending ISOs, on-ball screens, drives, and rim protection, per ESPN research. Under Sweeney, the Spurs made a 28-win improvement, tied for the 3rd most wins in franchise history with 62, and advanced to the conference finals, serving as the lead assistant to a conference finalist in 3 of the last 5 seasons. His first head coaching job will be of a Magic team built to contend the Eastern Conference with Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Desmond Bane, and Jalen Suggs. Orlando has not made out the first round for 3 straight seasons, and even though they led the series against Detroit 3-1, they didn't have enough offense to close out the Pistons, especially after Wagner suffered a series-ending right calf strain in Game 4. Sweeney has experience working with superstars like Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee, Luka Doncic in Dallas, and Wembanyama in San Antonio. Sweeney's specialty is defense. He's inheriting a Magic team with stellar defense under Mosley. He's interviewed for several head coaching openings in recent years and was a finalist for such jobs with the Charlotte Hornets, Pistons, and Phoenix Suns in the last 2 years. He spent the last 4 seasons as Jason Kidd's lead assistant with the Dallas Mavericks, coordinating the offense and defense during the Mavs' run at 2024 NBA Finals, and earning a reputation as one of the best X's and O's minds in the league's assistant coaches. When we come back, we'll begin with the third period here in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final. I'm Alec Nava. Stay tuned, everyone. Aside from Luke Kuechly, Landon Donovan also was sounding the siren here at Lenovo Center as he was announced ahead. Freddie Anderson has a new postseason franchise record on the shutout streak. 149 minutes and 23 seconds and counting. Third period is underway. The stall line is out there to begin this period. And Carolina's goal is simple. Shut them down. That shutout streak best those of Kevin Weeks and Cam Ward. A sharp angle shot is wide. And Carolina gets this out. This is the period in which Carolina turns up their defensive game. And we'll have yet to see if Montreal is limited on shots on goal in this third period. But Habs fans hope that it's not to the extent of what we saw in Game 4 of this series. Lane Hudson leads the way up the far side. Kirby Dach sends this in deep, and Keandre Miller arrives first ahead of the play. Miller towards the near side. One of the Habs goes down. That's Alex Newhook. Miller and Hall jump onto the puck at the near corner. Alex Carrier places out. Nobody home at the slot. Quickly closed out by Logan Stankoven as he races ahead. Stankoven drops out for Taylor Hall. The slot options closed off. Hall defers around to the end boards as Stankoven gets back to the right point. Jumping onto it is Jackson Blake, who cycled this around. Now it's Mike Matheson, shoved twice by Stankoven. From the far half boards, Blake got a stick on the puck, but Alex Carrier keeps with it. A minute and a half into the third period, the lead is 5-0 Carolina. Dumped in deep for the far side. Freddie Anderson gets this out for Miller. Andrei Svechnikov is with him. Miller will set up Sebastian Aho. Chased behind by Philip Deneau. Towards the right is Shane Gostisbehere. Jakub Dobej, who has been shelled in this game, is still out there. From the far corner, feeling the pressure, is Lefkovsky from Svechnikov. Kept in at the right point. No, it's played out. And Montreal has a 2-on-1, but racing back is Seth Jarvis to nullify that. Good defense by Carolina as the wraparound attempt was shut off. Behind the net is Josh Anderson as he places it to the left point. This puck was blocked on the shot from Gretzky's office. Carolina clears this all the way down, but as it's not touched up, it is iced as Jaden Struble arrives first. You wonder if Montreal is going to have David Reinbacher ready for full-time NHL duty starting next season. Should he get a call up? You'd feel that he is next in line to be on the defense. If such, what would the defense pairs be looking like? Could he slot in next to Caden Gooley? False start against Montreal on this faceoff. And in such a case, you think Lane Hudson would be paired next to Alex Carrier or Noah Dobson. You can mix and match between Matheson and Carrier. He has good chemistry between these two as this shot was blocked in front and the rebound is swept away. Held in by Caden Gooley as Gostisbehere blocked another shot. Jake Evans, nobody home on this drop pass, and Dobej has to come out to play this. Does a long stretch pass to Evans to bring this back in. And Freddie Anderson reads that very well. On the entry is Evans will set up for Bolduc. Evans back, right point. Return feed gets whacked around by Jarvis, but Montreal holds. Carolina intercepts on the centering pass, only to get brought this back in. Evans wraps this one around, and Veleno is shut down. Couldn't even get a clean look as Bolduc drops back. Lane Hudson, long shot, bouncing puck is wide and behind the net. A shove from what I think is William Carrier. And Carolina does get this one out off a bounce, and they will make changes. The Evans line is off. Hudson has a hold of it. And Canes fans are happy with the result, 5-0. Knowing they have a date with the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final. In 16:20 left. From the near side, Carolina starts this up. Further middle, Jordan Martinook drops out for Jordan Stahl. Back for Martinook, across the ice. Dobej with the stop. Now back is Nick Suzuki. I think that went off the mask of Dobej. And from the far half boards, this is picked up by Carolina. Sent back out onto the Montreal outside the red line. And goaltending has been very volatile in this postseason. Every starting goaltender that was left starting was making less than $3 million in average annual value. Another shot, Dobej with the save on Jackson Blake. And you know how much this second line has been putting up all sorts of effort with Carolina. Passes wide of Blake, and it's iced. That could have been a one-on-one had Blake settled down his stick. Freddie Anderson has the second most playoff games without appearing in a Stanley Cup Final all time with 98. Of a win here, that's going to be over. Curtis Joseph has the all-time record. Second place is soon to be taken over by Evgeny Nabokov. Habs win the faceoff as Dobson's shot is blocked. And from the far corner, this gets cleared out. All the small things being sang here by Hurricanes fans. This was a tradition by Avalanche fans 4 years ago. I would like to think that was the big reason why Blink-182 went back on tour. Because of the presence of all the small things in the Stanley Cup Final. 5 minutes gone in the third period of Game 5. As Struble sends this down, this gets whacked out of play. And so it'll be a face-off. No delay of game. Rod Brind'Amour is mic'd up for the Hurricanes. The deepest he has been as a coach in a playoff run was last year, entering this season. He has shattered that here this season. A win will get Brind'Amour to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 2006 when he was the captain of the team. He has been involved in 97 of the Hurricanes' 99 all-time postseason wins, which is now soon to be 98 of the 100 all-time postseason wins. Montreal wins this face-off, and they'll get this out the center. And Brind'Amour can become the first coach to reach the Stanley Cup Final with the same franchise as a captain and a coach. Never mind player. He's been such a focal presence of the Hurricanes that he has been around for this long with Carolina. That he embodies the spirit of the Hurricanes. Broken stick on the ice. This puck bounces up at the right circle, and that's Caden Goulet who has a broken stick. So technically this is 5-on-4, and Montreal does kill it. Jalen Chatfield rushes back on Alex Texier to retrieve for himself. From the near side, Sebastian Aho. Defers to Jacob Slavin at the Carolina end, and Carolina playing the waiting game on the zone entry. Dumped in deep, and Dobish is behind the net to play it. Sends this over far corner. Now out in front, as this bounces up, it rolls and will be iced, so we will not go to a TV timeout. This is the best offensive output that the Hurricanes have had in this postseason in any playoff game. They've recovered well from the 6-2 drubbing in Game 1. 6:01 deep into period number 3. On this faceoff, Carolina does keep. Dobish is out of his crease to play this. Jake Evans has it, and Dobish loses his stick. He had it knocked away from him, and Dobish is out of the net to pick up his stick with Jankowski waiting in front of him. Safely, he's back onto the blue paint in his crease. And it's fortunate enough because Jankowski was right there waiting like a hungry shark. The Hurricanes move back with Eric Robinson, who dumps this in. Dobish plays this out. Jordan Stahl is back. Mike Matheson plays it away from him onto the far half boards. Gloved down by Jordan Martinook to keep it for a brief moment. Whacked ahead by Nikolai Ehlers. Ivan Demidov moves this towards the far half boards over to Alex Newhook. This bounces up. It will not be iced as Anderson thought it was dumped in from beyond the red line. Now this one is from Carolina. Dobish leads it for Struble. Jaden Struble gets knocked out. Penalty is coming up against Carolina. This will be a tripping penalty as this is knocked away. And as Keandre Miller touches up, it is, I think it's going to be Jordan Stahl to the box. Or excuse me, Nikolai Ehlers. When we come back, Montreal will head to the power play with 12:48 left in the third period, and Habs fans are just wanting this to end. Carolina fans are wanting this to end too. fans have come to see Paul Bissonnette and Henrik Lundqvist here in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. Oh, Bissonnette was going to hang out with the fans. King Hank? Well, not so much, but the fans love him too. The respect that people have for him is incredible. Jakub Dobeš gets this out as Carolina has the opening say on this face-off on the queer. Have a little laugh. Everybody loves to have some laughs here. How about some from Biz and the King? And some from the Case players on the penalty kill. They do get that queer. Oh, man. It's nice to have Paul Bissonnette and Henrik Lundqvist onto the ice. It's even nicer to have them on the booth. And their post-point careers as Jakub Dobeš has this out for Layton Hudson. Man, Carolina's having a lot of fun. They've embraced a bunch of jerks persona in 2019, and they've stuck with it ever since. Made hockey in Raleigh fun to watch. Back is Slavkovsky, who waits and sends over towards the near corner. On the retrieval, Hudson back towards the far side. One-timer! Shut down by Freddie Anderson. On the keep is Demidov. Wanted to go for Hudson, instead goes to Slavkovsky. Centering pass gets knocked down by Freddie Anderson as he covers up. Ends up pushing and shoving afterwards as the frustrations boil on the Montreal side, knowing that this series is going to be over soon. Nick Suzuki with a shove as the whistle is blown dead. It was amazing how the Mikko Rantanen deal worked out for the Canes. Originally, the plan was to bring in Taylor Hall. The second trade brings back Logan Stankoven, a pair of first-round picks, and a pair of third-round picks. And because Carolina didn't spend too big on Marty Necas, that meant that they could afford both Keandre Miller and Nikolai Ehlers, who have both thrived under Brind'Amour's system. Here are Mark Jankowski and Eric Robinson. 2-on-1. The pass missed Robinson from Jankowski. Zach Bolduc was caught napping on the power play at the Carolina end, as the Habs are a little discombobulated at the time. Glove down by Carolina as the pass couldn't be settled down by the Habs. Jakub Dobeš is back to leave behind for Dobson. The penalty is over. Another successful kill for Carolina at home. They have killed off every penalty at home except one. And the Hurricanes are going back with Logan Stankoven. 2-on-2. Drop pass out for Jackson Blake, who gets tied up by Alex Carrier. Taylor Hall is out on the ice. Alex Carrier comes back with this. From the far side, sent in. Shane Gostisbehere, shot by Philip Deneau, manages to get this away from him. Bouncing puck is kept in for a moment, and another penalty is assessed. This time it's 2 for slashing. Shane Gostisbehere. He broke Philip Deneau's stick, and that's going to be an easy call, clear as day. And although it doesn't matter now for Carolina, given that they built a 5-0 lead, they're going to be tested by Vegas in the Stanley Cup Final, and you cannot do this against a Vegas team that is built similarly to Carolina. Jordan Staal and Nick Suzuki. Won by Staal. Back around, swing and a miss from Martinook. He stumbles. Has to get back onto his footing on the ice. Drop pass over to Demidov. Quick shot. And a glove save. Or excuse me, that was a block out of play from Jordan Staal. He's going to get some stick taps heading back onto the bench. The initial shot was Ivan Demidov. And Staal took this off his shin pad. Another shot blocked by the captain. Of course, that gets the respect of the players. 10:06 left here in this game and series. One-timer off the post! Montreal has been absolutely snake-bit on offensive chances. Sometimes they take opportunities in which they passed up, such as that one in which that was broken up by Carolina, to be fair, as Nick Suzuki was blocked out from a sharp angle, with Juraj Slafkovsky setting up at the front of the net. 40 seconds gone in this penalty, as Suzuki drops it off towards the far corner. Dropped all the way back, Slafkovsky defers over to Caulfield, and the Ole Chants are back. Lane Hudson to the net, shut down by Anderson. Suzuki will head off. Keandre Miller all over the puck. Held in by Hudson. Here's Caulfield. He scores! The shutout bid is over. He went 5-0 on Freddie Anderson. And that ends as Anderson's shutout bid, which is Carolina's now new franchise record. Caulfield left all alone in the slot. And the 50-goal scorer finds the back of the net. A nice keep by Lane Hudson on the sauce pass. That gets Montreal on the board when it was too little too late. Carolina still has a 4-goal cushion. 9 minutes left in the game. From the far half, Boris is sent in deep, and Montreal looking to attack. Freddie Anderson's shutout streak is over, but the fans are chanting Freddie here, giving them signs of encouragement ahead of the Stanley Cup Final. This puck bounces up onto the far side as Montreal places up ahead. Several stick tie-ups and that. Carolina comes back with numbers. This is Eric Robinson. Backhander was broken up. Caulfield from Hudson on the power play. Alex Carrier brings this in on the near side. Freddie Anderson waits. Decides to pass to the near corner with Josh Anderson on his face. Had to clarify. Bounces up as Montreal can't get this one out for a brief moment. Now they come back with this puck. 1-on-2 comes Newhook. A very auspicious bounce off of Anderson's skate as it set a pass. Could not be picked up. Nobody was at the slot for Montreal. Taylor Hall comes back with the puck. Now stops at the right point. Slices across. And this bounces over to Stankoven. Stankoven. Pass is tied up. Jackson Blake. Sick with it. Noah Dobson will find Alex Newhook. 7:40 left before the party can truly start for the Prince of Wales Trophy presentation. Stankoven drops back. Ehlers glove save by Dobish. 7:34 left until we have handshake lines and the Prince of Wales Trophy presentation. Alec Navahiwich on the solo call. We'll be right back. Keandre Miller, with him on the ice, Carolina's controlled every facet of the game offensively. Shot totals, expected goals for. Plus minus as well. He has a plus 13 rating, which is a postseason high as the Saturday pass was missed for Jordan Staal. And Miller, even though he showed promise with the New York Rangers, defensive pair Jacob Trouba, he's taken his game to another level. And Carolina being paired next to Sean Walker. Caden Goulet collides with Nikolai Ehlers. As from the far half boards, Montreal takes this back. And what a postseason Miller has had. We say this again, but I want to reemphasize this heading into the Stanley Cup Final. To get to cover that with John Ott. Entering this game is 8 assists as the glove save is made by Anderson. Some more cheers here. Plus 12. 128 shots, 133 scoring chances, and 15 goals with him on the ice at 5-on-5. Has held opponents to 69 shots, 72 scoring chances, and 3 goals with him out there 5-on-5. A historic run for Miller. From the far boards, this is Montreal with the puck. They take this through into the Carolina zone. But they could do nothing to get by this Carolina defense. It's simply taking this game onto another level. And Vegas will have their hands full with this Carolina defense. Both defenses are elite. Vegas has the star power. But could this be the year for Freddie Anderson, in which his postseason reputation has been rather shaky? Could he erase those postseason demons once and for all? 6:14 left here in this game. Face off to the right of Anderson between Veleno and Aho. Veleno wins this faceoff, and from the left circle, Montreal cycles this down. Seth Jarvis checking in on the Montreal player that's up there, and Dobson gets this off of Anderson's pad. The Habs on the attack as Jake Evans tries one that was blocked in front. Veleno over to Zach Bolduc, being chased by Jalen Chatfield, and then this goes back around for Jake Evans. Pass Aho over to Chatfield. This bounces out through center, and the Habs will pick this one up, take this back across. Deflected in, on the foot race, Evans wins it. Gets this back, looks to set up. Pass is blocked, and it'll be settled down by Svechnikov. Andrei Svechnikov gets this the distance down, or it'll be settled down by Noah Dobson. The fans are going to stay here for the Prince of Wales Trophy presentation. Last year, they had to sit through it, watching their opponents do the festivities once more. Those opponents being the Florida Panthers. Now this year, they'll take the Prince of Wales Trophy for themselves. From the slot is turned away by Anderson. Shane Gottsbeer ties up his man, and it's cleared out for center again. Lane Hudson waiting patiently with this. Feeds it to the far side as Montreal start up on the attack. Cole Caulfield drops back for Ivan Demidov. Demidov's pass is broken up. Suzuki. With this, back forward, Caden Goulet. His pass is broken up, and it goes out of play with 4:38 left. And the fans know this is it. 20 years of trying. Where have we heard this outside of motorsports? We'll be right back. Luke Kuechly wasn't the only former Carolina Panther to be in attendance at Lenovo Center. Joining him was Jonathan Stewart, another member of that team, of that 2015 Carolina Panthers that made Super Bowl 50. Folks, start off the face-off. Game 1 will be on June 2nd. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes. That is empty for Montreal, as this face-off is won by the Canadiens, as Lane Hudson barely keeps this in. Pass to the front, save Anderson, rebound! Was shut down as well! From 200 feet! Oh, man! Almost was an empty net goal! Feet to the front, just wide of Jordan Martinook! Fans were that pumped up for a possible empty net goal from 200 feet, which was more like 175 feet, as Carolina forces this to go all the way to Montreal ice, and that's a bounced off a Hab. This cannot be icing. So Montreal have to start up again. The Habs are trying to pull off the miracle of miracles, but against Carolina and their stingy forechecking and defense, that's going to be unlikely. Sebastian Aho 2-on-1 with the net empty. Seth Jarvis, bullseye! Carolina's on the verge! Of course, we mentioned about stingy forecheck, stingy defense. That's what this top line accomplished. Svechnikov with the entry block, and that sprung Aho and Jarvis up ahead, 2-on-1 with the net empty. Aho, as unselfish as he was, deferred to Jarvis to bury this series away. 3:30 left. And that was the loudest that we and Hurricanes fans have heard PA announcer Wade Minter on any goal. You know, this crowd's gonna be loud for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, which will come this Tuesday here at Lenovo Center. Jarvis from Aho and Svechnikov. Somebody must be paging Robert Downey Jr., because that was a perfect way to he put it. Backhand shot was wide from the Canadiens. That was Josh Anderson with the last shot attempt. And everybody here is standing up. Not a single seat is occupied here at Lenovo Center. Freddie Anderson has been stellar. So has Keandre Miller. And every member of the second line. Those you can say have been the standouts on the Hurricanes in this postseason run. Anderson has stopped 22 of 23 shots. And Carolina's getting a power play as well. The Canes already have a touchdown. Perhaps an extra point would be even more sweeter. Carolina is putting the fourth line out there for this power play. They know the job is done. They don't need to score another power play goal, but it will be even sweeter. As funny as it may sound. 150 left on this penalty. As Shane Gostisbehere starts up and is going to casually skate this towards the right side for William Carrier. Mike Matheson watches on. From the far corner, this gets taken on behind. Played by Jake Evans up ahead. Trying to spring something to prepare the Canadiens for next season. We want the cup chants here at Lenovo Center. This is how you do a chant. Not the we want Boston, we want Florida, we want Houston type of chants. Or what Knicks did, if the Knicks did, we want Wemby. Here's Ehlers. Left point. 1 minute gone in this penalty. He gets a return feed. Carolina's just plain keep away, killing off the rest of this time. Martinook takes a swing and a miss at it. He wants to put the extra point anyway. And Alexander Nikishin is just running out more time. He's out there with Jalen Chatfield. 1:15 left. Ehlers will wait. How's waiting here? This crowd's going wild. 30 seconds left on this penalty, as Carolina is just playing keep away at their own zone. The final minute of the series. That's the happiest that Wade Minter has been in the recent years. The Stanley Cup Finals in sight, and a date with destiny awaits. This is a franchise that hasn't made it back to the final in 20 years. That between finals appearances, they've lost 16 of 17 conference finals appearances. A franchise that went through a 10-year postseason appearance drought from 2009 to 2019. They broke through to take out the defending Stanley Cup champions in their first postseason appearance back. They've been relentless in this journey back, and it took a full 18 skater effort. The 20-year wait is finally over. The Carolina Hurricanes are Eastern Conference champions. The Storm will surge on to the Stanley Cup Final. Fans have waited for this moment for 20 years. All the hugs, all the embraces. As Rod Brindamore, who was one of the last members of the team that made it to the Stanley Cup Final in 2006. He was the captain at that time when the Hurricanes defeated the Edmonton Oilers 4-3, holding off a 3-1 series comeback. He's the first ever to do it in the expansion era, as Jordan Staal and Nick Suzuki lead the handshake lines. What a game that Freddie Anderson has played. What a game that Taylor Hall has played. What a game that everybody has played in particular. It is a complete team effort from the Hurricanes. And like the Colorado Avalanche before them, it was in the 8th year of this win. And like the Colorado Avalanche before them, they finally broke it through after years of heartbreak. They break through here in this window. It was not the 8th year of the window, excuse me. As the Avalanche did in the 5th year of the window. The chance of Freddie Ring on. Montreal's run comes to an end, but they have the ceiling to look forward to. Anderson, for as much as this playoff reputation has been in question, has delivered under the bright lights. Oh, man. The two head coaches, Rod Brindamore and Marty St. Louis, embrace each other and the handshake line. A lot of respect for these two legends of the sport, being Hall of Famers with their respective franchises. Brindamore with the Hurricanes, St. Louis with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And to think that both Mikko Rantanen trades for Carolina worked out to perfection the way they wanted to. That Carolina lands a player that fit their system, a former Hart Trophy winner in Taylor Hall, and a promising young player in Logan Stankoven who has elevated his game to another level as part of the second line. Freddie Andersen finally going to a Stanley Cup Final for the first time in his career. After 98 playoff games of not appearing in the final, he finally gets his first chance. And Jordan Staal, looking to get onto the Stanley Cup for the second time in his career, as is William Carrier, who were both previous champions. Staal with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2009, Carrier with the Vegas Golden Knights just 3 years ago. And he'll have a chance at doing so against his former team. The Prince of Wales Trophy is being presented over at the stands. The carpets are out. We'll have to see if Carolina touches it or not. But as for now, as a look on through, your player of the game for tonight is Taylor Hall, who finishes tonight with a goal and 2 primary assists. The Carolina Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights will meet in the Stanley Cup Final. The Prince of Wales Trophy being presented by Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly. We'll see if Jordan Staal and the Hurricanes touch up or if they don't touch it at all. Everybody is joining on board for it as Staal shakes hands with Daly, and the rest of the team joins along with the picture. So far, nobody's touching it, but they all embrace each other. A team-wide effort. We get in position, everybody. You're the storm surge. You gotta go around and chase it. Even some of the coaches are pumped up. But the Stanley Cup is the much bigger prize. 4 wins is all it takes. And considering the pressure the Hurricanes were under to make it to the Stanley Cup Final, given that the Florida Panthers and New York Rangers were out of the way, there was no excuse for them to fall short of making the Stanley Cup Final. They accomplished just that, and it took just 13 games to make it to the big dance. Some may say that 13 is an unlucky number. Others will say that it is lucky. Whoever is correct is anyone's guess. All that matters is how you make it there, not how many games you make it there. They'll leave the Prince of Wales Trophy on the stand, instead focusing on Lord Stanley's finest hardware. That's going to do it for tonight. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. This next Tuesday. And so long from Raleigh, North Carolina. I am Alec Nava. The Carolina Hurricanes are Eastern Conference champions. And with you at Lenovo Center, we say good night.